Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Aceikith Gaming and welcome to a slightly different video to what we used to. Obviously, it isn't Saturday. It isn't my usual day of the week where I upload a YouTube video like I usually do. That was only a couple of days ago. The reason being is because I've recently started doing sim racing again. I've barely been doing any form of sim racing at all for the past, I'd say, 7 or 8 months now, because I was very ill, obviously, as well as that. I wasn't able to work, so my fitness levels have gone down quite considerably. Over the past, I'd say, month or so, I have started to become a lot more better physically. I've been able to feel my fitness levels starting to come back again. Mainly because I have started a brand new job. Obviously, I'm still working, but it is a very different job to what I used to do. And I do feel I am a lot better mentally as well because of it. So I've started up sim racing again. If you might be able to just about see my sim rig, possibly not. It's actually right directly behind me. So this is my old sim rig that you see right at the back here. I've stopped using it. I have. Because main part of the reason why is because it's not really helping me necessarily, and also I'm moving about quite a bit. So I've actually started using my dad's sim rig, as you can see at the back there. You may have noticed some of my details with regards to my rig has changed since the video that I put up on Saturday of my Dead by Daylight video. That some of my rig components have changed. Reason being is because I'm now using my dad's sim rig. So from any iRacing content that I'm going to be making this moment forth is going to be on my dad's sim rig. I'm not going to be using my own anymore. We've actually been able to figure out something so that way we're both able to use his effectively. So this race is the Lara Formula 3 race at Montreal. This is the same time of when the prime time race was going on. This is in fact not top split, unfortunately. We didn't make it to the prime time broadcast as set up on a Friday evening, but we did make second split as a number 2 car. We start in P3 in what I would say is actually quite a competitive field, even amongst a few drivers that are around about 2k IR. We go into this race around about 2.6k. So we are wanting to try, if we can, to try and get to 3k iRacing by the end of this year, if we can. If you do like the video, of course, then please do not forget to like the video. And also, if you do want to see more content such as this as well, do not forget to click the subscribe button. It isn't just iRacing that we do, or just sim racing. We are doing other things as well as iRacing. So if you do like a bit of variety of different types of content that comes out each and every week, we do provide a very good variety of different games that we do try and play during the week. But I do hope you enjoy the race. I'll see you again soon. Okay, so we're into the race here. It is a post-race commentary. If you do like this type of thing, please do let me know, because I am still wondering if we'll do post-race commentaries, which is beyond the norm of what typical iRacing YouTubers do, or if you prefer commentary live. But anyway, we start P3, going into turns 1 and 2. We've got the number 5 car coming around us on the outside. Wasn't able to complete the move there, as I do get a very good exit out of turn 2. On this type of track, for the F3 cars, you've got to be especially careful. As you can see, there is a crash behind us. But yeah, you've got to be very careful, especially during the first few laps. The reason being is because you can see I'm moving the steering wheel quite a bit. You've got to be aware that your car is going to be quite slippery around some of the slower corners, especially on the first few laps. Because your car tyres are still cold, you haven't done a rolling lap, it's a standing start. So you've got to be prepared to be a little bit slower during the first couple of laps or so, or wait for the tyres to heat up, and then you can start attacking the track a little bit more, because you can easily, and I mean easily, get quite a good amount of pace you can on another driver, just because you're attacking the curves quite hard. It's a track that demands respect, it always has done. because of it being a street track, but it's not your typical street track. Like, say, for example, Monaco and F1. There are places that you can overtake. One of them, you can overtake here. The final chicane, just be aware of the right-hand side. That is notorious, named the Wall of Champions, if you are into F1. So, the first lap, we're only around about a second off the lead pack. I'm taking things very easily, knowing that this is going to be a long race, and I'm possibly going to be attacked by drivers behind during the course of the race. So I want to try and save the tyres as best as I possibly can. That is pretty much the objective. Don't go on the attack early on, allow other drivers to use up their tyres, and then we can use our tyres later on and maybe try and make an overtake or two coming to the end. Especially with drives ahead, because I've already started to notice this is only lap 2. The front 2 are already getting aggressive. They are. So I'm starting to think, could it possibly be that these two could possibly take their aggression a step too far, and that will get a position, or maybe even both. We're sitting P3 at the moment, so this is a very good start for us. We've managed to hold position. We've just got to be aware of the car behind us, who is going to be challenging us for a very good amount of this race. A very good amount. So we're just approaching the final chicane for the end of lap 2. You can see I'm actually already starting to attack some of these curves. The final chicane I didn't quite get right. I did hit that inside curve for the second part of that final chicane a little bit too hard. So I ended up scruffing off my exit, which allows Robert Tillman in the 19 car behind us to be able to catch up to us. So you're going to start seeing that at first he's looking to possibly make a move on me. I am aware of that. He does hit the barrier at the exit of that first chicane. It's quite easy to do that. That is where notoriously, if you may remember, 2005, during Fernando Alonso's first of 2 championship wins, back in 2005, Alonso hit that very same barrier, which he caused him to make his one and only retirement, I believe, during the entire season. And that was just a very rare mistake from Alonso. A lot of drivers can easily make that mistake. I've made that a couple of times, at least during practice. I have. So just coming up to the final hairpin before the very long straight down to the final chicane on the track that comes up with the Wall of Champions as well. I've just got to be aware of Robert behind me in case he's wanted to make a move. He's got the slipstream behind me. He does seem like he's a bit too far back, so I'm just focusing ahead now, just focusing on my braking point. I'm still trying to find out what the best braking point is, and to have a mixture of a fast entry but not ruining my exit, because momentum in these type of cars is so vital. It really is. So we're now moved forward about a couple of laps. This is coming to the end of lap 5. We've got Robert Tillman still behind us, but we've also got Rod Maguire catching up behind us as well, coming up to the end of lap 5. So this is the quarter point of this race. It is a 20-lap race at Montreal. So we're still setting a decent pace, but at this moment in time, with Robert starting to mount a little bit of pressure on us, it might be a good idea for us to possibly start pushing a little bit more, just in that way we're able to maybe stretch out a little bit of a gap if we can. I have noticed one area of the track in particular, is the final chicane especially, that I do feel I am able to move a little bit quicker than what Robert is. And also this chicane coming up as well. It's these two chicanes that I'm able to actually get a little bit more speed compared to Robert. I do make a little bit of a mistake there, however. But you can see, even with that mistake that I make, I'm still able to actually stretch out a little bit of a gap to Robert. But it's these heavy braking zones at the this hairpin here and turns 1 and 2 that he's able to get that gap back down. So it could be possibly a little bit of an issue if I don't try and stretch out a little bit of a gap between myself and Robert. Robert could potentially be a threat. at this point. So what starts to go through my mind is how much do I push without pushing the tyres too hard? And while I think about that, we then get the driver just directly ahead of us. He missed the braking point on the final chicane. He ends up going straight on at the chicane, and he has to serve a slowdown. So we end up catching up to him. I will say now, we don't really manage to catch up to him, because even though he's now lost sight of the lead, he does actually start to catch up gradually to the leader. After a while, that's a lapped car that we've just gone past, by the way. That isn't a pass for position. That was a back marker who spun round, who was involved in the, I believe, the lap 1 incident. But yeah, like, we're maintaining a decent gap. Preferably, I would like to try and stretch that gap. But because Robert is in the slipstream and I've not got any slipstream ahead, it's going to be difficult to do that. And you can see Robert is getting very close to me right now. So I've got to do one of two things. I've either got to really start pushing hard to get away, or I might be better off just letting Robert through and then try and battle him back later on. And just try and follow what he's doing and see what I'm doing wrong. Because Robert might be more experienced than what I am in the F3s. I have raced in the F3s before, but I haven't raced F3s for a little while before about a couple of weeks ago. You can see a couple of points I'm braking a little bit on the hard side, and he's having to react to my heavy braking in the middle of turns 1 and 2. So I could probably go a little bit faster than what I actually am. It's just a matter of finding that pace, and that will just come in time as I get used to the F3. Just to remind you that these races that I'm doing so far, that is a mistake that I've just made there. And you can see now, this is the first big opportunity that Robert is going to have all race. You can see he's thinking about it and going around the outside. And he does back out. He does actually let me know on the team radio. I'll just play it for you in the background, actually, so that you can hear it.
I'm not going to pass you, Alan. So you don't have to depend.
So yeah, so there you have it. So basically what's happening is that he's telling me that he's not looking for anything you know, too overly aggressive. He's only going to make a move if it's easy for him to do it without compromising each of our races. And I just replying saying that I just wanted to give him a little bit of extra room. As to do the same, I don't want to compromise either of our 2 races. But this is still early on in the race. We're both in a very good position, especially Robert. You know, I'm the number 2 car, so I'm kind of where I'm expected to be. Where Robert is probably higher up in the leaderboard compared to what he was expecting going into this race. He might have been thinking that, you know, I can definitely make a good impact, you know, and maybe he's just been having a bit of bad luck recently. But just because your iRacing is low compared to the rest of the field doesn't mean that you can't make an impact, as you can see here. You know, like, these are some of my first races back after some months off, so I'm still getting my fitness back up. I'm still like, my racecraft is always going to be there, but it's going to be more about my fitness, getting back into these type of races again. And it's also going to be a matter of muscle memory, because obviously I'm not using my own sim rig, I'm using my dad's sim rig. So although the pedals are the same, the wheel is definitely not. It's very, very different compared to what I'm used to. So I'm still getting used to that. But as I'm obviously going to be getting used to that, I am going to be quicker. I'm going to be faster. So I know that there is room for improvement. But, you know, it's definitely something that that will improve over time. You can see there, he gets really close. He does. I'll just replay, actually. Like, he actually apologizes. He does. He believed I thought he hit me as well. But as you can see, it was very, very close to hitting me in the rear. I did actually get a 0x for car contact. from that. So I believed I actually got here. I'll play you the scene radio, as it is a little bit funny of how I replied back to him.
Sort of a question there.
You may bank it only one. And that was your one bank.
So yeah, so a little bit of a Donkey Kong reference, as you got from there. You may spank it only once. So basically, he was very close to touching me in the rear end. If he braked any later, he probably would have done, actually, to be honest. But I think that was a mixture of he's trying to push a little bit because he is a little bit worried of the driver behind him. And also, I'm probably braking a little bit too early for some of these corners. I am. So I do need to start getting a move on, because otherwise I am going to start being passed for a position. Not for just one position, but possibly even two. Two positions, if I'm not careful. As you can see, Robert has a tiny little look. I'm not really particularly worried. If he's going to go for a move there, it's going to be a very ballsy move, I will say, if he does try to make an attempt there. So it was definitely worth having a look. Maybe, you know, setting my brain up to go, is he thinking about it now? Obviously, I've got to stop worrying about it. So, you know, he has every right to do that. But obviously, you know, he's being wise of it. He's got a driver behind him, because if he fails to make the move and doesn't get the exit he wants, he's going to be passed straight back. So he's got to be careful of that move. But you can see from this point, I am starting to push a little bit harder, and that is starting to maybe help a little bit. I'm not sure if it might be a mixture of me actually pushing a little bit more, or whether it could be more about where he might be making a mistake or two here and there. Because as you can see here, I've made a few tenths of a gap in the last half of a lap. He has, and now he's starting to look like he's making a mistake here or there. And this is coming up to around about halfway through the race right now. Yeah, like this is lap 11. This is so that we've already passed the halfway point of this race. There's still a reasonable amount of time left to go. There is. I could definitely lose positions. I can gain positions as well. Just to remind you that P2 did have a slowdown earlier on in the race. He could make a mistake again, although he's not battling for the lead, and he's not got his P2 threatened either. But we are starting to come up to lap traffic, so I've got to be mindful that I do need to get through this traffic as quickly as possible. But at the same time, if they're battling for a track position, they don't have to literally just move out of the way, although that would help me. I make the same mistake again as I did a few laps ago, and you can see now Robert is starting to have a look around the outside, and we're just coming up to a lap car. He will start to slow down. For a moment we go 3 wide, coming up to the third chicane. I do manage to keep the position, however, but that could have been very easily lost. And all that was down to was just positioning the car in the correct way. And you can see now Robert is now actually looking for a move there. Gets on the inside. Caught me napping a little bit there, but that was partly due to me braking early yet again. So we're now side by side, going down the long straight towards the final chicane of the lap. You can see I go to the right to try and defend my position, coming up to the final chicane. And I managed to defend the position well, and I managed to keep the place. But Robert is starting to look a little bit more punchy. So I do need to keep that in mind, that I might not just lose one position if I get past for position. I could even lose 2 positions because of one driver getting past and then the other driver just capitalising on it very soon after. And we are starting to get a 4th driver in the mix. We are as well. So this is starting to get a little bit worrying. I need to start pushing. So just exiting the final chicane now. Ending lap 13 into lap 14. And this is a deciding, near enough a deciding factor in the race. You're going to see here, just behind me, Robert Tillman makes possibly, and I will say, his one and only mistake the entire race. He brakes a bit too late going into turn 1, which compromises his entrance to turn 2. And because of that, look how big of a gap we've managed to make now. And now he's under threat from the car behind him. He's got 2 cars behind him. I've managed to start stretching out a bit of a gap. And bear in mind, I've been looking after my tyres the best I can, while staying ahead as long as I physically could. I've managed to keep my P3 since the start of this race, despite being put under pressure by what is now 3 drivers. And because of that, I've still got a good amount of tread on my tyres. I'm able to start pushing, and you can see now Robert Tillman's now under pressure, going into the tight hairpin. And you can see Rod Maguire does the switcheroo going through the hairpin. They're now side by side going down the long straight towards the front chicane. He's got the inside line. We'll see if he does manage to make that or not. It's going to be close if he does manage to make it. We'll see that just in the background, hopefully very, very soon if he can. I do not believe, but I do believe he does manage to make the pass. Yeah, you can see they're still battling for a position. And this is going to be the inside into T1. It's actually a very, very good fight between the two of them. And this is now my opportunity to start getting away. However, Tillman has still got P4 somehow, some way. But he has lost so much ground on me now that now I can start just trying to focus on ahead and just trying to push as much as I physically can. But you're going to start seeing something that I'm not quite so used to. And that is partially down to me not having done that much racing in a little while. And that is my my fatigue starting. This is about quarter of the way to go now. This is the last quarter of the race. And you're going to start noticing that I'm going to start making regular mistakes in the last few laps or so. Which will come up shortly, which I don't ordinarily make. Like, yes, I will make the every so often mistake during the race, but I won't make consistent mistakes. But that is more down to me just trying to get my fitness back up and just trying to get back into the swing of things again, because I haven't done some racing in a little while. So it is going to be something that obviously it will improve on, but it is going to be a matter of, like, you know, how do I improve it? And that is something that I've not had to deal with before. Because when I've done sim racing before, I've just got on with it and I've been able to deal with it perfectly alright. But obviously this time around, because I've been out of sim racing for so long, it's something that I'm having to get used to, is that I'm going to have to just try and get my way through it. And while I'm talking about that, you can see just in the background there that Rod Maguire has managed to pass Robert Tillman for P4. So I know that Rod was making grounds on me earlier on, back before he managed to catch up to me and Robert earlier on. So I've now got to start focusing on making sure that the gap doesn't come down too low. So just approaching the end of lap 16, going on to lap 17, and you're just probably seen. If you blink for a moment, you wouldn't have seen it, but Robert Tillman's managed to overtake Rod Maguire again. I'm going to put a little footage in a corner box for you, but Rod ended up making a mistake on that previous lap. He did. He actually ended up, I believe, spinning on the tight hairpin coming towards the end of the lap. So it's a little bit unfortunate that he finally managed to make a pass on Tillman, but that very same lap afterwards, he then goes to make a mistake. So he does lose a couple of positions. But of course, you know, that is all part of racing. You're going to make mistakes. And it's a matter of about learning from these mistakes that you make. So I'm now all alone on track. I'm just trying to make sure I get to the end. So I'm not really pushing very hard. And I probably should have done now that I think about this. But I think really at this point, I think it's at round about this very moment I start to feel myself kind of going away, which I've never felt doing sim racing before. Like, I've done real life racing before, and I've felt, you know, fatigued going around a track before. I've definitely have, but I've never felt it during sim racing, and that goes to show how bad my fitness has gone over the past several months, because obviously, you know, I'm still getting into it. But of course, I am working on a schedule that fits around my work, and that way I'm able to get that fitness back up again. So it is a work in progress. So we're just ending lap 18 now. We're now just starting lap 19. So I'm going to carry on the commentary through to the end of the race, because this is a very pivotal moment in the race. Of you know, you can see jumping through about a full lap. That gap has now closed up considerably. I believe he's caught up by about a second and a half on just the last lap alone, and that is mainly because of that fitness level that I spoke about earlier on. That my fitness level isn't where I want it to be at the moment, so it's something that I will just have to deal with and just try and improve it. So you can see coming through the third chicane there. I go through it quite slowly, but I think this is part of it is not just all to do with fitness. I think it is more so as well that I'm just wanting to get to the end. I'm actually not realizing, really, I've not really, like, I can see it, but I've not taken it in that the pack of two behind me has caught me up so considerably. And you can see right now, it's around about a second and a half of a gap. Maybe a little bit more than that. But you'll see in a moment, I make a massive error. I almost hit the wall of champions. Just as I'm about to start my last lap. So sitting in P3, I've stayed P3 this entire race. And you can see now that although these two are battling behind me, they're catching up. Which ordinarily I wouldn't let happen. Normally, if I see two drivers battling with each other, I'm able to escape from them quite easily. But this time around, for some reason, I just do not feel like I have the pace physically to do it. And you can see how quickly they have caught up. I make another mistake. That's the third time I've climbed over that inside curb too high. And just like that, I've now become a part of their battle. And that is all because I've just not really been able to keep my pace up anymore. And when I've suddenly realised that they're behind me, I was actually quite worried that, you know, I was going to lose this position. So I've suddenly started trying to push a bit more harder than what I probably should have done. And I've overcooked it a little bit. We're now side by side, just like earlier on lap 11, I believe it was, going down this last straight. But you're going to see, I'll do something different. I don't think he's going to make the pass down here, but it's last lap. I should have covered it off. And yeah, as you can see, Robert Tillman overtakes me on the last turn on the last lap. So a great result there for Robert. It should have been P4, but I'm going to show you the ending stats in front of you now on the screen while I do go away for a moment on webcam. But we do end up gaining P3 in the end. So what should have been a P4 finish, because I got past on the last lap, I ended up getting P3, and I believe it was because of a slowdown penalty that wasn't fully served by P2. But I cannot guarantee that. So obviously a very clean race. This was a 0x race as well. So again, a good decent amount of safety rating. And also on top of that, gain a good amount of iRating as well, which does in fact take us up to 2.7k iRating. So we're on that steady incline to get to that 3k margin if we can. I'm hoping to get that to that by the end of this year. Obviously, it's going to be difficult, but if we can do that, then that is perfect. If we're at least close, then that's fine. we can then target that as a season 1 2022 type of thing. We've still got a full season to get to that 3K goal. So I do hope you enjoyed the post-race commentary. I am going to start doing races with our brand new Falcon Racing Dallara F3 livery. So you can see I'm using a old McLaren McHackenen livery, which I've used on the F3 car for a little while. But this livery is set to change to a proper Falcon Sim Sports Dallara F3 livery. So you will be starting to see that from the next race, which the next round should be quite entertaining. Well, the rest of the season should be entertaining, in fact, because every single track from this point forward should all be very, very good. So I do hope you enjoyed the post-race commentary. If you do enjoy this type of videos, then do not forget to click the like button, as it does help out the channel a lot. And if you do want to see further content, then do not forget to click the subscribe button. And also please let me know, guys, in the comment section if you prefer post-race commentaries or if you would rather it be live commentaries. I'm always open to feedback from all of you, and it always does help out the channel. So I do hope you enjoyed the video. So see you guys next time.